Imagine that you're talking to a prospective client who says, "Listen, your work is impressive, but you're also a startup. We've got a lot riding on this. I don't know if you're the best fit." The objection hits you like a punch to the gut. And now the pressure is on to come up with the right response. Making a mistake at this stage could easily lose the deal. That's why it's helpful to know the four most common mistakes when handling sales objections. Here's what they are and how to avoid them. The first mistake is failing to listen. This mistake often happens when you're so worried about what you're going to say next that you don't really hear what the customer is communicating. Or this mistake can happen if you fail to understand the customer's needs in the first place. As a result, you may make the wrong recommendation, address the wrong problem, or overlook the underlying issue. To avoid this mistake, it's important that you listen first and talk later. Give the customer your full attention when expressing their concerns. Don't interrupt, and don't think ahead or jump to conclusions. Another tip is to ask probing questions. For example, in the case of the startup sales objection, you might follow up with probing questions like, "Can I ask you to expand on what you mean by that?" Or, "What specifically concerns you about doing business with a startup?" Probing questions help you get to the root of the problem so that you can address it directly. Another common mistake is failing to communicate value. For example, sales objections about cost often aren't really about cost. They indicate that the customer doesn't understand the value or return on investment they'll receive. Sales representatives often make this error when they mistake a product's features for its value. Features are just the facts and details about the product or service. Value is what it does for the customer, or how it allows them to achieve their bigger goals, fulfill their greater desires, or solve their most challenging problems. Always take the time to explain the value of a product or service for the customer's unique situation. The third mistake in managing sales objections is coming across the wrong way. A classic example of this mistake is the stereotypical pushy or unscrupulous car salesperson. This person comes across as money-hungry, aggressive, manipulative, or dishonest to customers. It doesn't matter if these impressions are wrong or right. The impact on the sale is still the same. To avoid this mistake, you'll need to evaluate your communication style and pay attention to how others might perceive your behaviors. Do use positive and confident body language. Know your products and services. Put the customer's interests first, and be honest and direct with the customer. Don't get defensive or angry. Never lie or make false claims, and try not to move too fast or come across as too pushy. Finally, the last mistake we'll cover is avoiding or dismissing sales objections. Sometimes, sales representatives don't want to call too much attention to product limitations or concerns, so they sweep sales objections under the rug, or they respond to customers' objections by beating around the bush, never addressing the concern directly. Remind yourself that the only sales objection to fear is an unaddressed objection. That's when problems can fester and misinformed assumptions can take over. Try to bring customers' objections to light so that you can address them effectively. Ask prompts such as, "What concerns or questions do you have for me at this point?" Or, "Is there anything I can address or clarify?" Being aware of these four mistakes is the first step towards avoiding them. So, always remember to listen, communicate value, think about how you're coming across to customers, and be direct and proactive about addressing objections. In turn, you'll be rewarded with more receptive customers and better sales outcomes.